Yes. All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome. Good night, good evening, good day, whatever time it is that you are watching this, wherever you are. Tonight, we are talking about Brazil and the retreat that happens in Salvador, Bahia, Brazil, called Rooted in Freedom, um, this summer in June. So, this is going to be a mix of me giving information about the retreat, just kind of big picture, high level information about our time in Brazil, what Rooted in Freedom means, how we got here, talk about past experiences, and then also a way for you to ask questions. All right. So before we dive into tonight's topics, let me know that you are here. Lotus Mindset 88 says that she is loving the book. Thank you very much. Love to hear that. Vanessa says, hi. Hey, Vanessa, I got you. I didn't forget you. Hi, Vanessa. Since we've talked about the book, if you can please leave an Amazon review, I would absolutely love that. I set a goal for this month for how many books I wanted to sell. We are like a few books away from that. So I'm excited about that. Divinely Sarah. Oh, hey. Um, hey, Priest. Lotus Mindset 88. You bought a copy and sent it to a friend. Good. I think I owe you. I think I owe you. Okay, thank you for bringing that up to me too. So happy that you all are here to join me tonight. So we are talking about one of my favorite places in all of the world, Salvador, Brazil. I have been to Salvador more times than I have been to definitely any other country, but definitely, and also more times than I've probably been to some places in the States, right? My first time going to Salvador was in 2003. And I went as a graduation gift to myself. I had just finished my master's program, or I was about to finish my master's program. I was doing a dance retreat, or like a not a dance retreat. It was a dance conference. I was at a dance conference, and one of the teachers, Master Kingi, rest in peace, was teaching Afro Brazilian dance, and I was like, I don't know what this is, but I love it. And they were like, we're having a summer workshop in Brazil. Come and join us. And I was like, I'm going. At this point, I had never left the country. I didn't have a passport. I didn't travel by myself. So, like, none of the things that made sense for me to say, I am about to go to this place with people I don't know, with a language that I don't speak. All of the things made sense. But I was like, you know what? I've worked really hard in my schooling, and this is the gift for myself. And the dance movement felt absolutely at home in my body. And so that's how I ended up in Brazil the first time. And since then, I've been back like 7 times, right? So absolutely love the place. When I was there in 2023, I think, I was visiting some of the sites. So just a little bit of backstory. Brazil has the largest concentration of people of African descent or African people outside of the continent. Why? Because of the slave trade and the migration patterns and how people landed there. So what is happening in that location, particularly Salvador, is there is a lot of retention, cultural retention, memory retention, that still lives and exists in that place, right? And when I am there, I tend to go to a lot of different places because part of my work is ancestral lineage healing, right? And so in ancestral lineage healing, I do that not only for my ancestors, but I do this work for the collective as well. So I typically, if I'm traveling and I'm at places where I feel a lot of trauma or atrocities or things like that have happened, I will go in to do some type of work to raise or to elevate particular energies in a place. So in 2023, I was doing my little pilgrimages, right? Going to my different spots, hanging out. And I got to one particular spot and I was tapping into my ancestors during that time, doing some elevation work. And I got back to my hotel room, my Airbnb, and something that I had been working to bring to fruition at that point for months. I can't remember the exact time frame and I don't want to make it up, but it had been a long time. It was stalled, like it just there was no forward progress with it. When I tell you, after doing the work at the site that I was at, coming back to the room, like I got an email and there was a phone call, and I was like, wait a minute, what's happening? Right. There became this momentum and this speed around this thing that I had been working on that I had not experienced or felt. And so still like in that moment, I didn't necessarily attach it to the work that I had done, but I, continued my time in Brazil. And typically when I go to Brazil, I'm there for a long period of time. Um, um, I'm typically there for a long period of time. And so this time I was there, right? Sorry, my phone's ringing. I'm reading the chat. There's a lot happening right now. Um, the downloads continued to come, right? And while I was there, this idea of bringing people to this land to not only connect with what was happening, but to also do this ancestral lineage healing work started to present itself to me and it started to like become really, really clear. And I was like, all right, I guess I'm bringing people to Brazil. And I had done it before because a part of my work, I used to work for a place called the Center for the African Diasporic Culture or something. I'm messing up the name of it. But we would curate trips and take students to different places. So like I've taken students to, this was when I was for a family, we've taken students to Trinidad, to Paris, to Brazil, right? So I had done it before, but in the context of that. And so I was like, all right, I guess that's what I'm doing. So that is how the idea for me to even take a group of people to Brazil came to be, right? It was like, I can absolutely take people to my favorite place, right? I can absolutely curate ancestral lineage healing work in my favorite place. And I can absolutely tie together that with culture, fun, relaxation, beach, and all of the best things that Brazil has to offer. So that is how we ended up with Rooted in Freedom. All right. So this is our second year. Dr. Akua, did you use the link that I sent? Because tonight we were going to have some guests from who participated in some of the past retreats just to give kind of their perspective and talk about their experience there, but big picture overview. And you can text me as well, Dr. Kua, if that is easier for you. So the trip is June 19th through the 27th. We are in Salvador. You have beachfront hotel room. The price offering is set for it to be a single room, but there are you can, if you have someone else and you all want to share a room, there is double occupancy, and so that would reduce the cost of the trip, right? You would just need to let me know. The reason I don't necessarily advertise the double occupancy is because I don't want to be responsible for finding you another person to be in your room, right? But if you come and you're like, oh, me and Susie are going to come together and share a room, then that's easier for me because I don't want to end up with, charging you the price for double occupancy. And then I don't have anybody else that wants to share a room with, somebody else. So we're there. We arrive, you get picked up. And the goal of the trip is for you to have a good mix of your own personal time, right? Because who wants to go to Salvador and you only get to follow this like curated itinerary and things that I think are important? So the goal is for you to have time for you to do what you want to do and have the experiences that you want to have while also having a very curated and structured experience. Last year I took two separate groups, so we went at two different times. So two different experiences curated, slightly the same way. And the two groups, one was a longer time period and one was a shorter time period. So the amount of free time was different. This time I kind of combined those two things. So you have a whole free day. Some of the experiences that we do and work through during the time together, we go to condom blade ceremony. But past going to the ceremony, we go to the condom blade houses. We have people talk to us. We get to ask questions. Our tour guide is fabulous. She speaks English. She's fabulous. Her history is deep. And so she's giving us information, again, from the perspective of someone who is Black or who identifies as Black or as a person of color, which in Brazil, that is its whole own thing. I always say I love that place, but definitely colorism is alive and well, right? It has shifted over the years from when I first went to when I go now, but it is the thing, right? But with that said, it is beautiful to see people steeped in and loving who they are, and exhibiting that and displaying that in such a way. So experiences. We have classes, which can be cooking classes. So we're learning traditional Brazilian cuisine and culture. Dance classes. Last year we did samba. We also did a capoeira one. And the second group, we visit the Quilombo. Quilombo is a community of people who basically resisted being enslaved. Right. And so they would leave. I want to say escape because sometimes they were never enslaved, right? Sometimes the Quilombos were mixed with people who were indigenous to the land. But oftentimes it were people who were resisting enslavement. And so they would escape and go out into the mountains and other places and basically create community that continued to resist enslavement. And so we visit, and they're still alive and thriving there now, right? So there are these communities and pockets of people who have lived for centuries and decades this life of resistance and this life of liberation. And so we go to those places. We do a lot of visiting people who Black women. We do support a lot of Black women while we're there. But we go to places that can continue to help us frame our narrative around what rooted in freedom actually looks like, right? Sorry, I got sidetracked. If y'all have questions, make sure you drop them in the chat. All right. So over the days, we are doing these different cultural sites, going to shows. At nighttime, we have free time. Um, we ate a lot. And this particular group one, we stayed together a lot as well, right? So that group was a little more social. Let's go hang out. Let's go find a nice restaurant. Let's walk down the beach, right? Let's go find a place with some music. That group was a little bit more of that. And the second group wasn't the same, but wherever you are is where you are, and you can opt in or opt out at any given moment, right? Let's see what else. I think those are kind of the main. Oh, and then the ceremonies. The ceremonies and the rituals. So I mentioned, right, there are definitely key spots and points in the city that have a particular charge, right, that allow us to tap into our ancestral energy and that release a little bit better. And so at very particular points, we do ceremony and we do work and events around that. Yes, very similar to Maroon communities, IOD, the Quilombos. We do work around that. And then we do, because it's water there, right? We're at the beach, we're on the beachfront. So we are also interacting and coming to those things. So Dr. Akua says that she can't recommend this trip enough. It is well curated and filled with culture, African spirituality, arts, festivals, bonfires. There was the bonfire, excursions, cooking class, lots of great food and friendship. So one of the festivals that we do during this, so why I picked this time frame, June 19th through June 27th, there's something there called Festival Sal Joao, right? Which is the Feast of St. John. And Festival Sal Joao, we go out into the countryside. So we do excursions outside of Salvador. We go to an island. We go to some other communities. I mentioned the Quilombo community and then Festa Sal Joao. I can't remember the exact town that we go to that particular festival in. But it's this huge festival, right? And people are like gearing up for it, right? It's like I was talking to one of the people there, and they were like, basically, locals prefer Festival Sal Joao more than like Carnival. To them, that is their carnival, right? So they are like in it and they love it. And we got really blessed this time. Our tour guide kept talking about that at the end of this, they do these bonfires outside of the house, and the bonfires signify one, the release of things and letting things go, but it's also a signal like people go from house to house, and say, happy Sal Joao, right? So it's kind of this like communal thing. But we found one on the side of the road that was like big, and they let us come and like be a part of their of their bonfire. So that was great. What's the currency exchange rate? So it varies, right? I would say anywhere from 6 to 1 to, on the low end, 5 to 1, right? Even during the time that we were there, I want to say towards the end, I found a place that was giving me like $5.80. Hey, I 5.8 hey to the dollar. But I also got as low as like 5.4, right? Hey, to the dollar. And so what that means for people, I like to say that the things in Brazil cost the same as they cost in the US. So what does that mean? If you went to a restaurant and the bill was $20, right? The plate was $20. In Brazil, it's going to be 20 reais. The difference is the conversion rate. So because your $1, let's just make it 5 for the sake of my easy math conversion, since I did 20. If you're because of the 5 to 1, that $20, the 20 hey meal is really only costing you $4, right? So the cost of, what I like to say, the cost of essentials in Brazil are really inexpensive. Food, housing, I can't think of other things that you need to live, right? But those things are really inexpensive. Things that are not essential, electronics, cars, technology, those type of things absolutely have a higher price point. But your day-to-day, like, I don't know if you saw the reel that we put out, and there was like this huge, like, whole fish with sides. So I'm a pescatarian, so I love fish. A huge whole fish with the sides and all of the stuff would be like, in US dollars, would be like the equivalent of $10, right? I would go to the grocery. So my kind of morning routine, I love fresh coconut water, right? And so I would get a liter of fresh coconut water, which is ends up being $2, right? So a liter of fresh coconut water, $2. So I would get a liter of fresh coconut water. My favorite fruit is this like custard apple. I would get that. I would get papaya and like, maybe like some other little snack. But I never spent more than $4, right, for that type of thing. Going out of the restaurant, we go to our nice like outing restaurant where the food is more expensive. Even in that though, that more expensive, our splurge meal was about maybe $25 with the drink. So the other question was, is food included? The hotel has a full breakfast. And not like our continental breakfast that we're used to, but like a full-fledged buffet style breakfast with real food, real meals, everything that you need, right? You can get adequately filled and fulled. Oh, dang it, y'all. I be setting myself up. I did not go live. Oh, wait, I am live on Instagram. Hey, Instagram. All right. So Lotus Mind says that she heard Dr. Kua. Dr. Kua, did you try to come into the link? So this is the link. Just as we're talking, if you're interested in coming, learning more information, shehealinginstitute.com/Brazil. It is a $350 deposit. Spaces are limited because it is such a curated event, right? I want to make sure that I have time to interact and it not be overwhelming, and that, you know, all of the things happen so that we feel good and connected and safe while we are there. Okay. So Lotus Mindset 88 says she heard there are like immunization shots you need for some countries. You do not need immunization shots for Brazil. You do need a visa to enter into Brazil. You apply for your visa. I think we had people who, I think everybody did theirs online through this particular company. They have expedited. I don't suggest that, particularly now, given, you know, the state of the world. I just don't think we need the stress. We need the stress of that. But you apply for your visa online. I think you have to submit like a picture, a passport picture or something like that. You give the information, you have to show proof that you can essentially get there and come back. Right. And you apply and they send it back. But they also have places where they have embassies where you can go in, you know, if you wanted to go in person to apply for your visa. But there are no immunizations or anything like that that are necessary. And again, for transport, we have someone to pick you up. You know, so once you arrive, you're not feeling like, what's going on? Where am I? Right? Someone's there to meet you, to help you, to get you back. The first day that we arrive is really just the orientation and the dinner, right? So we all meet each other, we talk about our expectations. You get your little gift bags, all of that stuff, and then you know, you're able to decompress because we do start the next day, you know, with kind of a full day of sightseeing and activities. We have pay in full bonuses, which includes a photo shoot. So if you follow me, you see most of my press photos, right? Those are done by this woman named Talia in Brazil. It's spelled like Talia, but it's Talia in Brazil. And so on the trip, she comes, and even a lot of the photos that you see on the website came from her. So she kind of comes with us and takes pictures, but the pay in full people get a photo shoot with her. And that experience of dressing and going and doing all of your stuff for the photo shoot. The cost for the trip is $32.50. I feel like that's right. Sorry. No, I think it's $3,200. You would think that I know this. Yeah. So the cost of the trip, if you do pay in full, is $3,200. That includes the $350 deposit, and that includes, if you do the pay in full, your bonuses include the photo shoot, plus we do a pre-session kind of talk. And one of the things that I learned from, hey Shakila, one of the things that I learned from this last trip was the post-session kind of integration, right? People have had these experiences and they've done all of this stuff, and these things have shifted, and now it's like, and what to do, right? So for the pay in full, there's also that post-session integration. If you are doing the payment plan, which March or the end of February, March 15th, I think is the last day to sign up for the 3 payment plan, because of course you have to be finished paying for the trip by the time we go to the trip. It ends up being the $350 deposit plus $1,000 a month. Okay. Flight is really difficult to give you a ballpark figure on because it really depends on where you're coming from. I would say, so I fly out of Florida. My flight was about, I think, $800. Some of the other people, Dr. Cool, can you tell us how much your flight was and where you were from and where you're flying from? And yeah, it varies. That's the point. It varies. Like, I know somebody came from Delaware, but she flew out of New York. Her flight was cheap. It just depends on where you're flying from. I'm a Google Flights person, right? So I typically say, go to Google Flights and kind of just play with the things that are happening, so you can at least get a ballpark of where you're flying from. Anybody who can attend, do it. Yes, do it. So we have with us one of the participants who came with us last year, Shakila. So I am going to bring her to the stage. Again, if you have questions, continue to drop those in the chat. I will see them. I will respond to them. Before I do that, let me just bring up the banner one more time for you. So if you're interested in learning about the trip, it is at chihealinginstitute.com/Brazil. You can pay your deposit or you can do your pay in full. Spots are limited. And all right, so I am going to bring Shakila to the stage. Hey, Shakila.
Hey, good evening. Hey, everybody.
Hey, so thank you for joining us. So Shakila went, I mentioned before that we did 2 groups last year, right? So Shakila went into the June group, which is kind of where I modeled this next iteration of. It's more closely based to the June group than the July group. The July group did the Quilombo trip, which I absolutely loved. And so now I'm integrating that into the June adventure. But Shakila, I guess my first question, well, one, you can tell people, and since somebody asked about flights, and I remember when we were looking for your flights, it was like, because no, you just bought yours. You was like, nope, I want this, I want this,
Yeah,
I want this. Like, I am
yeah,
not on team flights. I want what I
yeah,
want.
yeah, yeah. I'm very particular. I want to pick my seat. I did everything. So I think I paid like 1,200 round trip for everything. Mm-hmm. And I was flying out of Orlando. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So tell us, like, one, what made you decide to go to the trip?
Mm.
And I guess what was your biggest like takeaway from your experience being there?
Ooh. Okay,
I
so
just jumped right in, right?
yeah. What made me decide to go when you first I saw it on your page on Facebook and I was like, "Oh, I have to go." I don't know what clicked or connected. I love anything black first of all. So just being in touch with learning about blackness in other parts of the world or the diaspora, I'm all in. And so I always hear about Brazil and how they have like the second largest Black or African population, and your page. I mean, you had just everything laid out, and I was like, oh, I have to go, and I just knew I was going, and I locked in. I was like, pay the deposit, and it was definitely worth it. Um, Biggest takeaway, the trip was so good. It was just such a good time. The food, when you kept talking about the food, I was on Instagram first. So I kept hearting on the food. The food was great. The people was wonderful. But for the purpose of why we were there, which was one of the things was like just identifying patterns in your lineage and reconnecting and even like breaking patterns in your family cycle. I felt like being there, I was able to really just let my mind rest and just connect to the whole experience. And can I tell you about the checkbooks? Did you talk about that? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I didn't talk about it.
Okay, I didn't know if it was a surprise for them later, but But
One, every year I'm moved by like, what spirit tells me we're gonna do for the trip. So that's partly why
yeah.
I didn't say it because I was like, they might not tell me to do that this year, but they may. So go ahead.
Okay, so we had received these checkbooks in our welcome bag, and they we basically had to deposit these checks when Spirit led us. Um and it was almost like a prayer essentially, and we're paying the debts of like our ancestors or whatever, like whatever we felt like we needed. And I don't know, that has stuck with me. I think that was one of just a really powerful thing for me to do, because I felt like I was releasing a lot of things that were weighing me down. And I think even my like my lineage down, So being able to sit, let my mind rest, connect, and then write out those checks and saying, well, I'm paying the debt of my my ancestors for this. And wherever I felt the connection throughout, we went outside of Salvador. So um I know I put deposits and checks everywhere, but it was just a really, I think that was one of my favorite things that we did. Um, but biggest takeaway was just the community that I felt while we were there, the prayers that we prayed together and by ourselves, and all of it. I left feeling so much lighter, and even though our schedules were packed, uh, we still had a lot of downtime, like self time. So I went and I walked or I ran every morning. And I would also, I think when we were doing, like, people were doing their photo shoots, I went and I had lunch and I had ice cream every day. And I sat out by the water every day, and I would sit out and just people watch. And it was so much. It was informative, a great trip, but then you had rest time, you had connecting time, you had spiritual time. So it was a really well balanced trip. Yeah.
Thank you. And she mentioned community. So going back to IOD 8815's, you asked about community. And I think, one of the things that I think I'm really good at, and it's not me, let me change how I just said that. One of the things that I think I do well is curating space with aligned people,
Mhm.
right? Why do I think I do that? One, because I'm really intentional about the energies and the things that I'm doing and the way that I'm setting up things. And so, without fail, typically the people that come together, be it my group coaching programs, like, or the classes, like those sets of people are always the people, right? So I never have any issues with people, and they build their own community. That June group, when I say it was the widest range of diversity, it was like, how did we even get here, right? From age to occupation to just everything in between. But they were fabulous. Like, even me watching them support each other and show up, and like that sense of community, that made me happy, right? That made me happy. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, Shakila?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think there was anyone that was on the trip that I knew outside of you and Bami K, she did content. But as far as like part of the trip that who was out there, I didn't know anyone prior to the trip. But then I left feeling like I gained a whole bunch of sisters. Like, we like you said, we would go out late at night and just eat down the street and have pizza and just people watch and listen to the music and talk. I have my foodie partner, and her and I had a lot of same food interests, and we wanted to try everything, so we would just buy it all and then split it. Um, we would just, yeah, we prayed together. Our personalities different, like you said, wide range of personalities, but it was just I mean, I don't even know how to explain it. We just blended so beautifully, and everyone has had good spirit. We all supported each other. Um, I had some hiccups with my flight when I was coming in, and everyone was so positive and supportive. And do you need anything? And came to my room and brought stuff for me. So it just was a great sense of community, friendships, and I feel like if I was to get in the group chat and say, hey, ladies, like, blah, 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 any one of them would jump in and say, hey, yes, of course, still. And we don't, I haven't seen or talked to them in a little bit, but I see them on social media or they see me or whatever. But yeah, great, 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 great group. Great sense of community. We all worked well together and we got along great, honestly.
Yeah. So as we get closer to the trip departure, I create a group WhatsApp
Hmm.
so that we have centralized communication, and particularly on travel day, right? A way that we can kind of all keep up and make sure that everybody is good. And we did have quite a few. So Shakila mentioned her issues were coming, but almost everybody else had issues going,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So she got hers out of the way on the front end, but on the back end, because flights were being canceled and stuff like that. So again, like, I don't just leave you. It's not like, oh, well,
Mm-mm.
this was your time. Now you're on your own, right? You are
No.
in our tour guide. She is, when I say she cares, like, she is there and she is also invested and she's with us, um, and has so many connections that things just kind of seamlessly be happening. um Somebody asked about recommended airlines and expected to arrive around the same time. So I do have my preference for airlines. Well, one, because I like points, and so I don't like my things spread out across multiple across multiple airlines. So I typically prefer Delta, and so the Delta partner that flies into Brazil is LATAM. I like LATAM, and I also like direct flights. I don't like flights with layovers. So I fly from places and airlines that are able to get me to where I need to be. Um, but there are, because who did you fly? You didn't fly LATAM.
No, I'm trying to think of the other major one. It wasn't Latam. I flew American Airlines, and so whoever their partner one
Mhm,
is,
mhm.
yeah.
And as far as getting there around the same time, so for the most part, the flights are already grouped, right? So, coming into, it's not like you're going to find an airline that's going to have something with such a huge variation. The goal is that you arrive before we do the opening dinner. And I think that automatically, like, puts the times. Everyone pretty much came in around the same. I want to say one person came in the morning, but other than that, people were at the airport maybe within like a 20 to 30-minute difference of each other. And so again, once we get closer, we send out a questionnaire. You send us your arrival time, your departure time, right? Your flight information and all of that stuff. And then based on that, we kind of start to group what pickup and drop off and stuff looks like. Um, any other questions for us? Did I miss anything?
No, I was gonna say, even if there are questions, the you sent out like an itinerary that had a lot of things in it, and then also we had the group chats, and the Zoom calls before we went. So even though I didn't know anyone prior to, we had gotten familiar through the Zoom calls and prepped, and then like you said, the WhatsApp. So everyone was pouring their information in, like downloading Google Chat before you get there to help you with Portuguese if you need it. But you really like you prepared. Dr. Latoya is gonna prepare y'all for everything you need. Like there's literally nothing except once you go through the list and you have your stuff, you go and just be open for everything else because it really is a well balanced trip. But there's nothing, no information will be left off. Like yeah, I don't feel like we were all well prepared and
How
had a
about
good time.
mosquitoes? I don't think I had any. Thank you. Yes, I travel a lot, y'all. And because of that, right, I try to one, I am by profession. By profession, I am actually I do events, right? It's what I do as a part of my job. I'm an administrator. And so because of that, my brain is going to always kind of fall into the possibilities, right? There's A and then what happens at B, right? That's just how my brain works. Um, and because I always want people to feel safe, That is always my like number one thing. I feel like when somebody is with me, it is my responsibility to make sure that you feel safe, right? That's physically safe, that's mentally safe, that's, whatever safety things that I can put into place. I feel that that is my goal. And so oftentimes we just need information, right? We need information in order to make us feel better about the particular process. Um, and so I try my best to do that. Um, and I'm sorry, I lost my thought. And because of that, also, I am intentional about the people that I bring into space with us. Because sometimes, like, everything could be good, and then you bring in somebody and they're like a butthole, right? And you're like, whoa, that was abrasive, right? So I try to be kind of holistic in my thinking. And also because I don't know it all, which is why I give the moments for the Zoom call, right? For people to have the questions. And my brain is also wired slightly differently. So sometimes when I think I have said something, it doesn't land in the way that I thought. Like, the processing of it isn't quite the same. And so I'm like, no, that was right there. But it's like, no, you didn't say it in these ways. Okay, great. So, making room for you to have questions and not feeling a way about asking questions, but also the genius is always in the room, right? I don't ever feel like there's one person who has a monopoly on the information, which is why the group chat I think is great, because people get to support the different things that they like to do. Like when I said Shaquila was on that food thing, right? It was great. Yeah, she was dropping things. She had me looking at stuff that I had never looked at before, right? And so everybody is going to have the different things that they are more interested in, and we create space for that. Do I recommend a specific attire? So it is their winter when we're there in June. It's their winter, but their winter is the equivalent of our summer. Like, so I was in, tank tops and, shorts and stuff like that. You do get pineapple goddesses, but you do get like a list of, so for the candomblé ceremony, where we suggest you wear white, right? So when it's not just, or like, okay, this night we go to Ballet Folklorico, which is a show, you may want to dress like that. So I do kind of give you these are like, based on the itinerary, these are the places that we're going. Here is your suggested attire for these places. But the culture itself is, I would say, casual, right?
Yeah, I would say definitely don't walk with any heels. You probably won't wear them. It's a lot of walking and the way the cobblestone roads when you go to like Folklorico and all that. Is I don't think heels would be a great idea. Just some comfortable shoes.
Yeah. Yeah. Just be comfortable. The one thing I did learn this time that I didn't do before, was on Fridays, they're culturally, people wear white. So although I had white as like a day for like when we went to a particular thing, I will add for this one, hey, on Friday, if you like, right? Because you do see a lot of people in white. That's just like culturally something that they do on Fridays. What are the ceremonies like? Um, okay, let me find the answer. My first thought, so what happened, my brain split when you asked that question. And I first went to like the candomblé ceremony, right? And also I want to add that although there is an itinerary, like nobody's gonna say, how dare you not come to this event, right? So for example, the condom, because you might not be into that type of thing, you might not want to be in it, that's fine. You cannot come, right? You just won't travel with us to that event and nothing happens. The world goes on. But those are like, we are there as culturally respectful observers, right? We are in other people's places and spaces. And although particularly for the candomblé, we went earlier in the day, or I don't even know if it was the same day, but we went earlier in the trip, right, where we got to talk extensively with the Maja Santo of the house. We went to the oldest candomblé house in Salvador. recognized by their historical preservation place. I can't remember the name of it, so I don't want to make it up. But so even though we did that, right, we talked, people got to ask questions, they gave us the history, they took us on the tour. So then when we came back, they saw us, they recognized us, they also made sure that we were good while we were there, right? Afterwards, they came over, they talked to us, again, questions, right? So in that setting, that's one type of ceremony. Another thing that people did was some people went to the Catholic Church for the mass at the Catholic Church, because the thing in Brazil is they fuse a lot of Catholicism and African spirituality come together in very particular ways that I've ever only really seen happen there. And so some of the participants went to that particular Catholic mass. So those are like those, and then even the Festival São João, right? Even though it's a festival, right? But again, we're at this bonfire, which is a part of kind of what they do. But then the ones that I do and host, I'm fluid in nature. So I ain't going to, because it's going to be dependent on where we are, what we're doing, what spirit says, right? In general, though, for me, ceremony is, I hold a larger intention, just like if you've come to any of my activations, right? I hold a larger group intention for us. I give instructions about our goals, and then you get to hold your own personal intention. I do some type of collective work, and then you have the opportunity to go and do your own personal stuff, right? Still in the space with all of us there and connected. So those look different. So I hope I answered that question for you. Lotus Mindset 88. Yeah, I don't think there were any mosquitoes.
So I want to back up to that. When we went to Festival Shashuao, and I don't know if it had rained a little bit or something had happened. Like I think it had sprinkled, but that was the only place where we had, when we were like, I think I had some in my purse, and then we some, and then because we had a whole conversation about natural bug spray, blah blah blah. But that was the only time where I experienced mosquitoes.
Okay.
Was yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
We were visiting like one of the churches out in the festival shop,
Mhm.
and they came out a little bit there. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I do
Yeah.
remember that. Yes. Um, about how many spots are there? That is a lot. I don't know. Like I don't have a number. I don't. You will get a full itinerary though. I think if you go on the site, even it lists some of the places. And again, another thing that happens, just like with most, like, because it is Festival South, because it is their holiday, right? So like literally it is a holiday period for the country. things some things close,
Mhm,
right? Some businesses are open. So even with our itinerary, like we knew that we were going to go to Cachoeira, which is an island. Like we knew we were going to go there, but we were flexible about, because also the weather,
mhm,
right? It was like, okay, well, we can't go across the island if the weather's going to be bad because we want to catch the cabin. So it's like all of these things. So always say, like, we have our very clear, like, okay, we're going to do these things. Or there's a church called the Black Church. I don't know what it's really called, but that's what people call it, the Black Church. And we got there, and like we went to something else and we were like a little bit delayed. And so we got there, and that was a part of our itinerary. But we weren't going to be able to get in, but then like we could get in because again, the person that's our tour guide is very well connected, and so she got us in. But then that led us to going to like the gastronomical museum, right, which wasn't already on our itinerary. So it's like we do go to a lot of places. There are definite ones where I'm like, no, we must do these things, right? These are the non-negotiables. And then there are other things that just kind of flow in. And then like somebody was really interested in like the market. Like somebody wanted something very particular. I can't remember now. But then we added and now we're going to go to Market Sal Joaquin, right? So it's that type of thing. But again, you can always go or not go. Are the walks Healy asking for a specific reason? Are gratuities for hotel extreme? So we lived, so I didn't stay at the hotel. I stayed in the Airbnb because I was in Brazil for almost like 2.5 months. I stayed in the Airbnb. The hill that I had to walk up to get from my house to that hotel was enough to like make you reevaluate a lot of things, right? It was a hill. But outside of that, I want to say in the Paladino, there's like a slight incline, but you could just walk around, like you could go around. And I think the other thing that our tour guide, so what people don't know is in the background, we're doing a lot of conversations. So she's like, how old are the people? Right? If we go, we can go this route, but if we go this, there's going to be a lot of walking. Okay, we can do this way they can have places to stop. How, like, when did they eat breakfast? Because now I can determine where we need to stop along the way so that people have the ability to have a bathroom break. So when I say like we are really mindful of the people, what's needed, so that you don't feel like, one, you're being a burden, right? But that is just like, oh wait, no, this thing was made for me. We are doing, like, every day, the tour guide and I are checking in at the end of the day. What worked, what didn't work, what do we need to adjust based on the energy of what the group did. Okay, wait, I think we did one too many activities today, right? People felt a little this, let's do a little. So it's like that type of thing. There's a constant kind of recalibration just to make sure that everybody feels supported and contained. But yeah, there are hills. I would say though, for the most part, it's flat, but the Paladino is hilly. That's the only place I could think of where the area we stay at is flat.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Gratuities for hotel and meals included. So tips don't work the same there as they do here. And right now I'm blanking on. I do suggest that you give a gratuity because, so this is how I look at it. And this is my view on traveling, right? We talked about the conversion rate. The conversion of, let's just go with the low end of 5 to 1, right? For me to give you for me to give you a US dollar really isn't anything, right? It is negligible in the overall amount of like what I'm going to do, right? As my mom would say, you piss $1 off walking outside, right? So for me to leave somebody a tip where for them that's five of their dollars, which we talked about the price of stuff. So $5, that's a meal, right? So for me, even though gratuity isn't expected in the same way there as it is here, I still do it as if I was here, because it ends up being, when I convert it ends up being not really that significant for me, right? Where I do, so at the end of the trip, I do though off ask. So all of the places that we go, we leave a tip because again, we're supporting local businesses, we're supporting like the Quilombo. So we are intentional about the places that we are going to spend money. And so I build in the cost of your trip. We've also included in the extra. So let's say, for example, when we go to the Candomblé house, right? In that, we're going to give her an offering in the name of the group. But then people can also, and they did, give their own individual offerings and get prayers and stuff like that, right? Where I do ask for a separate tip amount is for us to tip the tour guide at the end of the trip, because she is there and committed. And I'm like, I think when someone takes care of you that well for those amount of days, it is a nice show and gesture to give them something. And again, because they don't expect it, it's not, again, the expectation is not like, how dare they do do that thing to me, right? It's just really appreciative. What are your thoughts around the tips? Because I really can't remember right now, like what I did around that. Hotels, like, did you all tip at breakfast and stuff? Oh, tell people about breakfast.
Oh, breakfast was great. I had wrote that on Instagram. It was like a full spread for breakfast, and it was so fresh. They had fresh juices, green juice, like pineapple juice, all fresh squeezed, everything. They had fruit. They had local things like pastries and like meats and stuff. It's not like your typical continental breakfast here. It was like a full buffet spread. Um, and then as far as tipping, there wasn't really a way to tip because it was like self-serve. They come around like your plates, everything. They clean up after. So, but they don't do it while you're there. So it was hard to tip there. Um I always leave money when I leave the hotel for who cleaned the room and all brought stuff. So I always leave money. But again, like you said, it's not expected. So it's just I'm not going back with Brazilian money or reais or anything. Like I'm not gonna reconvert it back. I don't know if everybody might not be like. It's not like I have money to throw away. I just don't. I don't. So I just always leave my money. However, between the hotel and the airport, I'm pretty much handing it out. So um, that's just me. But it's not expected. Um, what else did you ask me?
No,
Did
that
I?
was, yeah.
Okay.
Um, I think crowd and be done. Okay, I think we. Oh, Dr. Akua said the personal changes that she's experienced since the trip have been transformative. Those manifestation checks work. Yeah, the
Yeah,
manifestation checks. That really was a hit.
it was
If you,
great.
we did a reel we did a whole reel because they were sponsored. And just if you're interested in them, I think her website is manifestationchecks.com. But she was a sponsor for the trip for us last year. And so we got those. I use them in general work though. So Dr. Cool said those manifestation checks work, as did the candles, note cards, prayers,
Mhm.
offerings for the healing activities. So those were some of the things that we did, right? And as Shakila mentioned, you get kind of a gift welcome bag when you come. And so you have the supplies and stuff that you need to do the ceremonial work during our time there. Yes, comfortable sandals. I think I got all of the questions. So only breakfast is included. Every day breakfast is included. The day we do the cooking class, how'd that happen? Did y'all see those balloons line up?
No.
Okay. Okay. Um, okay, sorry. But breakfast is included every day. Some of the excursions have a meal included. So, for example, the day we do the cooking class, your meal is included. When we go to the island, Cachoeira, your meal is included. I think there's another excursion where your meal is included. So, on the thing, it'll tell you, again, like if the meal is included in that particular outing, but your general everyday, your lunch and your dinner, you should assume that you will be responsible for. So maybe in the 9 and one day this year is a completely free day, so only your breakfast is included. But you should assume that you will pay for that. But like I said, there are a few events where the meal is included. Um, but like I said, like it really isn't expensive. It is not expensive to eat well there. Yeah. Um,
Okay.
All right. Well, I am going to thank you so much for joining us, Shakila. I appreciate your energy. And thank you, Dr. Akua, for being in the chat, dropping your information in the chat. Thank you, Pineapple Goddess, for your commenting and helping to facilitate the conversation. I'm going to remove Shakila from the chat so she doesn't feel like she just has to watch me talk. And then if you all have a few more questions, I'm still here for a little while. You can drop them in the comments. All right. And so just to recap, the what's that thing called? The deposit. The deposit is $350. That saves your spot. If you do pay in full, you get extra bonuses. The pay in full bonuses are limited simply because of scheduling the photographer, right? We can only do so many photo shoots, right? With the way the trip is laid out. So the pay in full bonuses are limited so that we are able to make sure that everybody is able to get their photo shoot. Now, some people once there who didn't pay in full did decide, they saw the things, was like, wait, I want a photo shoot too. And so they, once we got the people who paid in full situated, started working on getting them in their time slots and everything for their payments. For their photo shoot. So Starly is also in the chat. Starly came with us. Starly says the trip was transformational, spiritually heightened, and bonding with beautiful souls. Thank you. Starly was great. Starly's energy is absolutely fabulous. African Queen said, how many trips? I have 9 spots. At this point, I have 9 spots left on the trip. All right. Well, if I don't see any more questions, you are free to send me an email, reserve your spot, do all of the things, send a question. You could continue to drop comments these aren't called threads, in the comment section, and I will respond to it. Are you coming back, Shaquila? Okay. Drop, sorry, if you have questions, you can continue to drop them in the chat even after this live has ended, and I will make sure that I answer them. All right. So until the next time, if there is nothing else, shameless plug, since I have y'all here. If you have not purchased, I don't have a book because I wasn't prepared for that. If you have not purchased your book, my newest book, Egbe Arun, the soul group that remembers you, y'all, it's late. I've taught today, so I had my inner circle class this morning, which is our 1 year program cohort mastermind. So I did that this morning. Then right before this, I had my inner alchemy, which was an amazing class we had tonight. Inner alchemy, and then this. So like my brain is like, we have done all of the things at this point. Yes. Because Lotus Mindset, wasn't it you? There's one person that won the bonus last time when I was doing the book thing, and we talked about swapping, and because I didn't do it in that initial batch, I forgot. Like I do that sometimes. Like once I've shifted, my brain doesn't go back to the thing that I forgot. And so seeing your name made me remember. I think that was for you, right? Wasn't that for you, Lotus Mindset? And if it's not for you, whoever I owe, because you probably here watching, I have been reminded tonight, and I will get your thing out tomorrow. All right. And if you have the book, I would absolutely love for you to go and leave me a review on Amazon. They are super, super important. For people who are coming, who don't know the topic, who don't know me, who don't know all of the things. And it also helps to continue to push it out into the world. So if you got the book, my next ask is that you go and leave me a review on Amazon. All right. Like, subscribe, share. Until next time, you deserve to live a life that lights you up from the inside out. Good night. Wait, swap? Okay, so then it wasn't you. Because if it was you, then you would know what I was talking about. Because you won something you won something, didn't you? You should have it. Oh, you didn't win. Okay. Sorry. So then I don't. So what's your question? What's your question? Let me just think. I think that's all while I'm waiting her. Okay. So yeah, I'm sorry. I be getting the name, like I'm not, it's not my, I be getting y'all confused. I'm sorry. Yeah, do you want to drop your question in tonight? Let's see what else is happening. Are you bringing merchandise to sell at EWA? I had not thought of that. So let me not definitively say yay or nay. Let me look into that. When will I send info out about the virtual egg bake workshop? You should have gotten an email. So if you bought the Egg Bale Rune book and you bought it during the launch window, when you submitted your receipt, you should have, because it's set to be automatic, you should have gotten a well, if you did it early anyway, you should have gotten an email which had your downloadable music playlist, and also it had information about the workshop. And in that email, it says like you're going to get the link or whatever like the week before. Maybe you missed this part. So the workshop is now March 21st. Instead of March 1st, is March 21st. And so the link for the workshop will go out the week before the workshop. Okay. Oh, okay. So it's you, African Queen T. I need to get your book out, I think. Right? Let me just go back to my email. Let me stop making up stuff. Let me go back to my email and figure out who it is that we swapped and I need to do the thing for. Okay, great. So all right, y'all. Good night.